morning and welcome. Happy birthday, Army, 237 years. First, I would like to recognize our international partners, our other services that have come out this morning, our family members, our contractors, our civilians that came to celebrate with us and run with us this morning. So go ahead and stand up. If you're not in an Army uniform, go ahead and stand up. We want to recognize you. I wanted to take just a few moments here this morning and talk about what it means to be a warrior, an Army warrior, and 237 years of great service, honor, courage, integrity. Could go on and on. But I thought I would start off with talking about Medal of Honor. 150th year of the first Medal of Honor was awarded, and you saw First Class Petrie there, who's one of the most recent ones. But I thought I would share one recently that was awarded posthumously, and I'll read it to you because it's pretty impressive. But it says a lot about warriors, about soldiers, and what has gone on in this Army for 237 years, where people leave all walks of life. They go off to basic training, they become a soldier, and then they get put into a war situation, and they step up to the challenge. This may be somebody that you went to high school with, who you thought, oh, that's an average person. Or this may have been a football player in high school. Or it could have been someone who you thought, well, yeah, that person will get out of high school and go to work, down the street at the auto factory and have a successful career there at hometown America. But these people leave like you did. They leave their hometowns, and then when they're put in that situation, the Army values come out, and they step up to the challenge, and they save lives, and they fight the enemy, and they take the fight to the enemy. So this one I'm going to read to you about was really a stellar example, and it was Specialist 4th Class Leslie Sabot, Jr. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on the 16th of May this year. It was for conspicuous gallantry at the risk of his own life, above and beyond the call of duty. On the 10th of May, 1970, Specialist 4th Class Sabot distinguished himself in Sisan, Cambodia, while serving as a rifleman in Company B, 3rd Battalion, 506th Infantry, 101st Airborne Division. While conducting a reconnaissance patrol, members of Company B were ambushed by a large enemy force. 22-year-old Sabot charged the enemy position, killing several enemy soldiers. Immediately thereafter, he assaulted the enemy's flank, successfully drew enemy fire away from friendly soldiers, and ultimately defeated the enemy, and they began to retreat. When a hand grenade landed nearby a wounded comrade, Sabot picked up the grenade, threw it away while shielding his buddy with his own body, thus absorbing the brunt of the blast. Seriously wounded from the blast, Sabot nonetheless retained the initiative and single-handedly charged an enemy bunker and inflicted severe damage on that bunker, causing the assault to end, and further wounding several other enemies, warriors. While he was doing all this, he came under automatic weapons fire, and eventually perished at the site. This is the kind of courage, though, that comes out, like I mentioned, in our soldiers. And not only in combat, but when they return home and they've been wounded. And I'm going to give you a personal experience that kind of says a lot about soldiers. And Pat and I have had a lot of chances to visit Army hospitals around the country. And one day, and it always comes into my mind when I think about soldier self-sacrifice, courage, honor, I walk into a room at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. A soldier had just arrived from Iraq, where he'd been wounded. He was going to be okay. He was laying in his bed. He had tubes running all over the place. As I walk in the door in ACUs, he jumps out of bed and jumps to attention. I thought the nurses were going to kill me. But he had bottles of saline solution and blood and everything hanging on him. He jumped out and jumped to attention. And I said, Specialist, sit down, relax. So I went up to talk to him a little bit. All he could talk about, and he had been warned about 36 hours prior, was getting back getting out of that hospital, getting back with his unit in Iraq. That's pretty phenomenal. And so after we finished our conversation, I got ready to leave the room. I said, well, you get well soon, you get back to your unit. And he jumped back to attention before I left the room. That is what soldiers are all about. And so I just wanted to recognize a few today, but I want to recognize all of you and say happy birthday. Thanks for what you do. You know, the longest war in our nation's history. You're standing with us. Less than 1% of our population serves in uniform at any given time. You all serve voluntarily. Your families serve voluntarily, hopefully. Mine doesn't. She reminds me of every time I get online. But I do want to say thank you also to your families. Pass that on to them. They're not here today. Many of them won't be allowed to because they will be out taking care of your families, your kids. But they will be behind you. They're a part of this birthday celebration, as well as our civilians and our non-fighters. Thank you.